Guys, guys. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in the middle of doing something and you have a really messed up thought that pops into your head? For instance, if you're driving down the road and you're coming up on an intersection and it's a red light, you think about flooring it through the red light and slamming into a semi, or you're sitting at a coffee shop and somebody opens the door and you think for a split second that somebody's going to walk in with an AK-47 and go ballistic on everybody in there, right? Um, I think we've all had thoughts like this, and a lot of times it could be overwhelming, stressful, uncomfortable to have these thoughts, and maybe they're few and far between. But for some of us, especially people who are a bit more obsessive or analytical minded, I think that we could tend to have these thoughts on a more consistent basis, and it can be nerve wracking. First of all, I want to say that it's completely normal to have these thoughts. I thought that I was insane for having crazy thoughts like this all the time. Um, but I realized that it's a completely normal thing that happens. It's been noted that the average human has about 60,000 thoughts a day. Um, and so most of these thoughts are autopilot things like, I'm cold, I'm tired, what am I going to eat for dinner? Oh, who's texting me? Oh, I got a text, blah, blah, blah. And so, maybe a handful of those 60,000 thoughts per day are these actual intrusive thoughts, but they stick out in our mind because they're so visceral, right? Um, I'll give you an example. I used to live in a high rise and I was on the 24th floor. So we're about 250 feet up in the air. And we had these big windows in the living room that one of them you could grab the bar and slide it open. It was a sliding window, and there was no protection there. There was no safety, no screen, no bars or anything. Really, it was just a big gap where you could literally like stick your head out or stick your arm like all the way out the window. And sometimes I'd be standing there and I'd have the window open and I'd be looking out at my cool view that I've got, and I'd think about diving out of the window. And maybe the first time that happened to me, it really, really, really freaked me out for like the rest of the day. And I didn't really even want to be in my apartment. I'd shut my window immediately and locked it, and like, you know, basically went downstairs and like walked around outside so I could be on the ground, and these are called intrusive thoughts, and they are completely normal thoughts. And as far as I can tell, most people have experienced this in some capacity before. I want to say it's perfectly normal to have bad thoughts like this. It's perfectly normal to have these messed up thoughts. Uh, just because you think something terrible like that doesn't mean you're going to act on it. It doesn't mean it's going to come true. And it doesn't mean it's something that you even think you would want to do, or you would even indulge the idea of. These are just thoughts that come from nowhere. And a lot of times we have more, mm, less extreme intrusive thoughts, and we're okay at dealing with those, right? Like, let's say you're walking down the street and you see uh, a cute girl or something, and you think to yourself, wow, she's beautiful. And then you go, but she would never be with me. Like, I'm too ugly, or I'm too short, or whatever, right? That's an intrusive thought, um, as well, on a different level though. Or like, let's just say like you're walking down the street and you've got a cup of coffee and you're having a good day, and then all of a sudden you think to yourself like, God, I'm a loser, out of nowhere. and you're like, why did I think that? Like, I'm having such a good day. Why did that pop into my head? These are also intrusive thoughts, but those are easier to manage than um, I'm gonna slam on the gas and run through this intersection and kill somebody. Those are probably they seem like those are more difficult to manage. It. Either way, it's perfectly normal to have these sorts of thoughts. I've dealt with a lot of these. They can come from having PTSD. They can come from, I guess, being an anxious person in general. They can come from being stressed out. Um, but essentially, they hold no weight. Um, and so, if you really, really, really either try to avoid them and shove them away, brush them off, and ignore them, that can um, have quite the opposite effect and drive you crazy. Um, so I think I want to leave you all with this, um, reiterating that one, these are normal thoughts that we all experience. Right? A lot of times mothers will have thoughts about harming their children or something, and that can be very disturbing. These are all normal thoughts. If you Google intrusive thoughts, you'll get, um, I mean, an infinite amount of articles from different psychological institutions and medical practices and physicians discussing the matter. But these are perfectly normal. Um, and when they happen, one thing that's helped me is I frame it as, oh, that's not actually me thinking about that. That's a different person. That's not Dallas, you know. So separating yourself from uh, those thoughts and realizing that you don't actually want to think those, that that's what they are, and simply identifying that, oh, that's just an intrusive thought, that's not actually real, that's just something that happens. um, that's really helped me out a lot. And then understanding that it's okay to have bad thoughts. So I hope that this all makes sense and you can learn something from it. Other than that, that's all I got. Until the next video, I am signing off. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and we'll talk soon. Peace.